7. Pape Satan, Pape Satan Alepe. Plutus began to croak, and the gentle sage, who understood all things, comforted me, saying, "Do not let fear bother you, because despite whatever power he has, he will not prevent you descending this rock." Then he turned to that swollen face and said, "Peace, evil wolf. Devour your own insides in your rage. Our journey to the depths is not without reason. It is willed on high there where Michael made war on the great dragon's adulterating pride. Like a sail bellowing in the wind that falls in a heap if the mast breaks, so that cruel creature fell to earth. In that way we descended into the fourth circle, taking in a greater width of the dismal bank that encloses every evil of the universe. O divine justice, who can tell of the many new pains and troubles that we saw, and why our guilt so destroys us?" As the wave of Charybdis strikes against the wave it encounters, so the people here are made to dance around. I found more people here than elsewhere on the one side of and the other, rolling weights by pushing with their chests with loud howling. They strike against each other, and then each wheeled around where they were, rolled the reverse way, shouting, "Why do you hold? And why do you throw away?" So they returned against the gloomy circle from either side of the opposite point, shouting against their measure of reproach. Then each one, when he's reached it, wheeled through his half circle on the other track. And I, who felt as if my heart were pierced, said, "My master, show me now who these people are, and whether all those with tonsures on our left were churchmen." And he to me, "They were so twisted in their minds in their first life that they made no balance in expenditure. Their voices spark this out most clearly when they come to the two ends of the circle where opposing sins divide them. These were priests who are without hair on their heads, and popes and cardinals, in whom avarice does its worst." And I, "Master, surely among this crowd I ought to recognize some of the tainted with these evils." And he to me, "You link idle thoughts, the life without knowledge, which made them ignoble, now makes them incapable of being known. They will go on butting each other to eternity, and these will rise from their graves with grasping fists, and those who with shorn hair. Unless useless giving and useless keeping has robbed them of the bright world and set them to the struggle. What struggle it is, I do not amplify. But you, my son, can now see the vain mockery of the wealth controlled by fortune, for which the human race fight with each other, since all the gold under the moon that ever was could not give peace to one of these weary souls." I said to him, "Master, now tell me as well as about fortune, about that subject you touched on. Who is she who has the wealth of the world in her arms?" And he to me, "O blind creatures, how great is the ignorance that surrounds you! I want you now to hear the judgment of her, he whose wisdom transcends all things made in the heavens. He gave them ruling power so that each part illuminates the others, distributing the light equally. Similarly, he put in place a controller and a guide for earthly splendor, to alter from time to time idle possession between nation and nation, and from kin to kin, beyond the schemes of human reason. So one people commands, another reigns, obeying her judgment, she who was concealed like a snake in the grass. Your wisdom cannot comprehend her. She furnishes, educates, and maintains her kingdom, as the other gods do theirs. Her permutations never end. Necessity makes her swift, thus often someone who creates change. This is she, so often reviled even by those who ought to praise her by wrongly blame her with malicious words. She is in bliss, and does not hear. She spins her globe joyfully among those other primal spirits, and tastes her bliss. Now let us descend to greater misery. Already every star is declining that was rising when I set out, and we are not allowed to stay too long. We cross the circle to the other bank, near a spring that boils and pours down through a gap that it has made. The water is darker and then a darker blue-gray, and we enter the descent by a strange path, in company with the dusky waves. This woeful stream forms the marsh called Styx, when it has fallen to the foot of the gray malignant walls. And I who stood there, intent on seeing, saw muddy people in the fen, naked and all with the look of anger. They were striking each other not only with hands, but head, chest, and feet, mangling each other with their teeth, bite by bite. The kind master said, "Now, son, see the souls of those who overcome by anger, and also I want you to know, in truth, there are people under the water who sigh and make it bubble on the surface. As your eye can see whichever way it turns." Fixed in the slime, they say, we were sown in the sweet air that is gladdened by the sun, bearing indolent smoke in our hearts. Now we lie here sullen in the black mire. This measure they gurgle in their throats because they cannot utter it in full speech. So we covered a large arc of the loathsome swamp between the dry bank and its core, our eyes turned toward those who swallow its filth, and came at last to the base of a tower.